What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of DT Podcast. Back in the house once again to break down UFC 286 is Mr. Burt Green. Burt, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing better now. I've had a couple of sips of beer. As we just discussed, 2-day hangovers are a thing. I'd like to apologise to everybody that told me these were a thing when I was in my 20s. And I told them they were idiots and that, that it's a mentality thing. It's a mentality. It's a weak mentality getting 2-day hangovers. But I must admit they definitely do exist. Much like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, it's difficult to prove. It's difficult to quantify. But I mean, you can't argue with that many sightings, can you? They're definitely real, and so are 2-day hangovers. So.
It's like when a Vietnam War vet talks to you about real hardship. You don't know because you've not been there, right?
No, you weren't there, man. You don't
Yeah.
know.
It was a tough realization, especially when you got kids. It's like you got to make sure your plate is completely clear the next day for you to even enjoy your night out. And yeah, I got a concert coming up this weekend, man, and I got my Saturday is free. So
Nice.
I got Friday night out with the boys.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I mean, I am getting back on the horse on Saturday. Me and my mates were doing some day drinking. That's going to be dangerous.
That's it,
That
man.
is danger. We've already ordered two because me and my mate we went to Sicily not long ago. We got well into Moscow mules. You know what a Moscow mule is?
I do not. It sounds great.
Moscow Mule is basically it's vodka, ginger beer, lime, and if the places do it right, it's served in a copper cup with loads of ice and a fresh piece of ginger in there, like a slice of ginger and lime. It's just if it's made with some nice ginger beer and some nice vodka. Oh my god, is it just a delicious, refreshing drink that you can drink a lot of because it's so refreshing and delicious. You're like, oh, this is pretty nice.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, so Mira, we're watching this thing called. Have you ever heard of Rough and Rowdy?
I love Rough and Rowdy. I'm a huge Barstool fan.
Oh, well, basically, we haven't seen the new one yet, so no spoilers, please. But
Yeah.
luckily, it's not really considered a real sport at the moment, so you don't see any spoilers anywhere. That's the good thing.
Yeah.
So we have it ordered. We're going to watch the stream of it on Saturday afternoon. I've ordered 2 bottles of Starley vodka for the occasion. And me and my mates are just like there's like 3 of us confirmed, no, 4 of us confirmed. So 2 bottles should be enough.
That's all right.
With other beers and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
we're just going to be crushing Moscow mules because yeah, that's a nice daytime drink. That's not good, is it? That when you've got a daytime drink, that's not good. That's probably that's a problem, isn't it?
Well,
So
when I was a teenager, we had Sky TV, and I think one of the free to air channels on Sky was Bravo. And on Bravo, they featured a show called Booze Britain. Do
I
you
think I
remember
might
that
remember
show?
it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was my first introduction to how our culture is with alcohol.
Oh
You
yeah.
start off early afternoon on Saturday and you don't stop till early morning Sunday.
Well, that's interesting actually because I remember those days pretty well because I think we're quite a similar age actually. Like it's I'm just mentally much younger. I'm mentally handicapped. Yeah, it's just,
I got the gray hair though, so
yeah. No, to be fair, I haven't hit that yet. My hairline is going though. It's disappearing. I've decided the second like it bugs me. I am going to shave it all off. Because I used to bick my head. I've got
oh
no
yeah.
problem with a shaved head. I liked having a shaved head because it was very similar to me having long hair now. I just can't be bothered to go get it cut. So
Right.
yeah, if you shave it, you don't have to worry about styling it. You don't have to do nothing with it. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I'm
But I
15 years deep
digress.
in that stuff.
As
I don't worry about up top. I'm just
it's
like,
the best. It's
yeah,
brilliant. And yeah, so we what was I talking about? Yeah, Booze
Booze
Britain.
Britain.
I actually, weirdly, when I was at college, I did like a document. Me and my mate, we did a documentary. I did like film and TV production at like college and that. We did. Well, it was one of the best things I've ever done. I don't know how we managed to do it. We managed to like the police were doing some sort of thing at the college one day. We went and spoke to them, so we were doing a documentary on like alcohol and drink driving and the danger and all that kind of stuff. And man, they set us up with this. They did a mock up like car accident where they got the jaws of life, cut somebody out of a car. Like we did all this and filmed it
Wow.
and that. And I remember our college like lecturer was just like, "What? How did you do this?"
Yeah,
But yeah,
man.
but that was just reminds me of like because at the time I worked in a pub at the same time, and it was a Weatherspoons, and it was only just getting to the point because where it really changed was the 24-hour licensing laws thing, because there's been a lot of talk about moving it back because people shouldn't be out until 24 hours and blah blah blah. So I beg to differ. Do people forget very quickly? Do you remember what it was like at 11 o'clock on like a Saturday night when Weatherspoons would kick out? Yeah, it was chaos
Yeah.
and carnage because everyone's all out at the same time. People bump into each other. Everyone gets into a
Fights.
fight.
Yeah.
Like it was absolute chaos. Whereas now that it's 24 hours and the much later drinking hours, it actually staggers it quite a lot more. And people have forgotten that very quickly.
Well, that's
It's
how it
just
is
like,
here, Bert. That's how it is exactly here. There's no rush to get to the bar so that you can order your shots at midnight and be as drunk as possible for 2 o'clock in the morning. I can decide at 11 o'clock at night, having been tired all evening, that I may just want to meet up with my friends who have been out all night. And now I'm ready at 11:30 and I go out and I start my night at midnight. I can decide that if I want. And
yeah,
then you can find a 24-hour and they have food for breakfast in the mornings. It's fantastic. But
that's the way it should be. That's
absolutely,
the way it
who
should
is
be.
anybody to say you can't do something at a specific hour? But if you regulate it and do it properly, like they do it here in good old Switzerland, it's an act of social disobedience when you're drinking in the UK still, right? Outside.
It depends where you are.
Okay,
It's
so
not. It's
parks
not
maybe.
everywhere. I think most of the time, if it's in a city, so if it's you're in a town centre, drinking outside, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. But
Yeah. Well, here you can do what
uh,
you want. Go down by the lake, into the parks, have a beer on the street, walk out of the office with a can in your hand, do whatever you want. Just don't be drunk and disorderly and don't litter. You know what
yeah,
I
that's
mean?
my problem. I'm just
Yeah.
disorderly all the time. I'm kidding. I don't even have to be
But
drunk to be disorderly.
there you go.
So
But nonetheless, we're here to discuss. Oh, that was a nice break. I saw you were going to take a swig, and I'm like, oh, nonetheless, we're here to discuss UFC 286. Bart Green, did you enjoy the entire event?
oh, I did. Yeah, I watched all of it. I don't remember all of it. Because me and my mate did go to the pub to watch the rugby
Right.
beforehand, and
Yeah.
so like we were already pub level drunk by the time like we put the pay per view on, which
Savage.
was yeah, that was before we like got into the beers that we'd had chilling in the fridge all day whilst we're at the pub. Because yeah, we
Yeah.
did a bit of day drinking,
Brilliant.
that turned into night drinking, but it was
Much
nice because
deserved
the
too.
event.
You work hard enough, right?
I do, yeah. I work hard. I do a lot of things outside of my work as well. I try to try stand up and podcasting and doing all this. It also I feel like I'm relatively active. I do a lot of exercise. I do a lot of gym work, a lot of jujitsu as well. I say a lot of jujitsu. I don't do that much. I only do once a week in jujitsu. Still, that's fun. It's
Right.
super nice. It's,
So you
yeah.
you watched it. I watched it live here with my noise canceling headphones as I cleaned my apartment because we guests on Sunday. And dude, some of the fights were spectacular.
Oh yeah.
Like some honorable mentions, but we'll cover like the main fights of the main card. Um, what was that guy's name? I should know his name because I've been researching him all day. Mohammed
Mohammed
Makayev
Bakayev. Yeah.
with the knee bar, dude.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that shows so much heart. This is what these fighters are made of. Yes, they're their own worst enemies because you got to learn to tap out because it's dangerous.
Have you
But
seen the state of it?
I just saw the picture he posted earlier. He was
Yeah.
talking on Ariel Hawani's show earlier. I missed that because I was getting ready for this one. But the angle of that knee, I'll put it up here for who wants to see it. Look away if you're, light stomached. But dude, yeah, that he got out of that, got turned around, got the back, got the choke, got the tap. and tried to get up, and you could see that his knee was just completely destroyed
Oh
after
yeah,
that.
the angle of the knee bar you could
Sick.
see. I was just like, well, that's. I mean, yeah, it's there are two schools of thought on it. I respect the toughness. I respect the hell out of it. But there are two schools of thought on it. There's the kind of look he could have. It's probably going to need surgery. That
Mhm.
like that looked really bad. It may never be the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a problem. He's only young.
Yeah.
And he's not made it to that level yet where he's earning like the big bucks. So all the people that cry about fighter pay will come out and say, "Oh, actually." To be fair though, the UFC will pick the tab up for that surgery, so he might as well get it done now because
Yeah.
it occurred in the octagon. So the UFC will pick up the tab for that because they don't care about the fighters and they're heartless bastards. They'll pick up the tab for that surgery. Those pricks, right?
Yeah.
Those heartless pricks.
Fighting the machine. But
Yeah.
dude, one of the great, like literally one a candidate for greatest fight of the year already, and we're only in March. Justin Gaethje. What's the name of the guy he fought? I'm terrible
Rafael
with names.
Fiziev.
Fiziev.
Mm.
Dude, like the pre-fight, they were UFC on their Instagram released a mobile phone but professional footage of Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson
Hmm.
in the Apex with the no crowds, and you just hear what he throws with that leather, and just like you can really hear what he's
Yeah.
putting into his punches. And then you see him with the crowd, and you hear that all the punches are mic'd up, and you see how many times he's trying to knock the guy out. He doesn't hold back on his punches at all. Um, Justin is a savage, dude. I'm a huge fan of what he does, but reckless abandonment, the Homer Simpson of the UFC. Like he's gonna have CTE if he fucking those fights are sick. Like it's just full leather, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is hats off to Fiziev as well. If I'm totally honest, I thought that was going to be a draw because I did think that Fiziev won rounds 1 and 2. I thought that for the Gaethje dominated round 3. Obviously, I thought that would be a 10-8. So in
Yeah.
my head, I thought that they were going to call that out to be a draw, and I was kind of hoping they would. I was like, I'd watch them fight every week, man. I'd watch
Wow,
them fight every week.
it's
Those two
interesting.
guys,
I gave
both of them.
Justin the first round.
No, I thought Fiziev edged it for me, but I'd have to watch it again. I was 3 sheets to the wind. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
who
forgot.
knows? But and also I was very biased as well because obviously I had my money on Fiziev. Actually, that's not completely true because that bet was off by that point. So the only money I had left on because I decided that I thought Fiziev would get the decision because I thought that Gaethje is very difficult to put away. And my thought process was Gaethje could easily knock him out. So I thought I had a side bet on Gaethje by knockout. And then obviously Gaethje wins the decision. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was. I mean, the state of Fiziev's face afterwards. I don't know if you've seen like the memes because he looks a bit
Yeah.
like the guy who played Ragnar Lothbrok in Vikings. He looks a lot like him actually,
Wow, I didn't see
and
that.
like the death scene. Well, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Vikings, like Ragnar Lothbrok doesn't last through the entire. But it covers like nearly 100 years, guys. He doesn't make it to the end of like the final season.
Who
Come
complains
on.
about
Anyway,
spoilers nowadays with the access that
I
we have to
don't
the internet?
know. I
Shut
don't know.
up.
Either way, they could have stopped by this point, so I'll spoil it. But anyway,
Yeah.
his death scene's like quite gruesome. He's just got blood all over his face, and they just had that side by side with Fiziev's face afterwards. And honestly,
Yeah.
it looks almost identical.
Wow.
It's just like, and yeah, it's a very cool. It's one of the coolest death speeches in TV history. Like because he's sat there in his cage being kind of like stabbed up by he's being like tortured kind of slowly, and he's just like, it makes me glad that Odin prepares the feast halls, for soon I will be sipping ale out of a curved horn. And it's just yeah, because he's just like, look, I'll like you can kill me, but this is what I want. I'm off to Valhalla to join my brothers.
Savage.
So
I've not seen it,
yeah,
but I can assume
it's
it's a
very
good.
good. It's
Yeah.
very good. Yeah, I thoroughly recommend it.
But yeah, great fight, dude. That was the co-main event. Have you ever been to a UFC event in the UK?
Yes, I have.
You have.
Yes, I did. I went to see Michael Bisping versus Dan Henderson 2
Oh yeah,
at
you
the
we talked about that.
Manchester,
Yeah.
yeah, the Manchester Evening News Arena. That was
Yeah.
incredible. The atmosphere was incredible.
Yeah. One
Like,
thing I will say about the UK fans is it's super entertaining, like the Irish fans. They don't have the chanting and the songs in the US. Like there's like a
no,
few like claps and stuff, but I was at the one in UFC 93 in Dublin, and we had like constantly singing "Ole Ole Ole" and constantly singing
mm,
"The Fields of Athenry." It's like an old Irish traditional song. But the UK events, dude, kind of out of place with my Irish accent, so I had to pretend to be British for a while. But I remember I was at the O2. I've been to one at the O2. I've been to Manchester. I've been to two actually at the O2. The O2 event that I was at were savage because
mm.
the crowd is just so there. It's like when your favorite band comes to town in the US and Vegas and all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, there's just another event. But going to the O2, you got the chanting, everyone's drunk, the atmosphere is great. The fighters actually make an effort with like when you can go down to the barriers and they'll take pictures and sign autographs and
Oh yeah.
stuff, which is great. But the atmosphere this time around, this weekend, dude, it was unbelievable for the main event. Leon
Oh yeah.
Edwards versus Kamaru Usman, and still 5 rounds, epic. What did you think?
Well, I loved it. I thought number one, it was a fantastic performance from Leon Edwards, almost more impressive in some ways than the knockout because he was able to just nullify everything that Kamaru Usman was doing and able to just implement his game plan. And honestly, I mean, again, I was heavily biased and I was quite drunk, but I didn't give Kamaru Usman a single round. Like I thought the only one where he got one back was when they deducted the point from Leon Edwards, which was fair enough. It was a fence grab, but I've seen a lot of people coming out and calling like Leon Edwards, oh, a cheater and blah blah blah. It's like, look, he grabbed the fence. They took a point. That's it. If you still can't win a fight after they've deducted a point from your opponent, then you probably haven't fought that well. That's a problem for you as well.
Yeah.
And also, I'm again like all those people that say, "Oh, he's a cheater and blah blah blah," and Usman should. Well, it's like no, because if you go back through Usman's fight career, like there's been a lot of fence grabs, there's been a lot of like questionable things. So look, what goes around comes around, and the fence grab thing, it is a problem. They need to do something about it. But the issue with the fence grab is, I would say that
But they did do something about it.
obviously
They took a point.
they took a point. Exactly. That's all you can do. Just the
Yeah.
first fence grab, you take a point because it's not like a disqualifiable thing. Because people are saying, "Oh, it's cheating." For me, it's the problem with it. It's instinctual. You try and get taken down without trying to brace yourself, or if there's something there to grab onto, like you're instinctually going to do that.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
natural. It is.
it's not cheating in the same way as like taking steroids or even like intentionally low blowing somebody, because I'm sure that does happen. Like, most are accidental, but I'm sure there's a few that
Yeah.
have. There's been some where I'm like, what else were you aiming for other than his balls there, man? Good
Yeah,
God.
there's that conspiracy with GSP versus Matt Hughes,
Mm,
where GSP went and got a couple of low kicks. You get your warning.
yeah,
Now he's going to be tentative about the low kick. He's going to drop his hands.
yeah. And it's
That's how
just
it works.
look, you should be poking eyes. You should be low blowing. You get one per round. So just
Yeah.
look, you need to go for it.
John Jones with his hands are out like
Yeah.
this. You get your warning. You get the eye poke. It fucks the vision up for, a round or two.
Yeah.
You
And
get your
the
points and you
fence
win.
grabs, yeah, the fence grabs, it's more an instinct thing, and it's not like flagrant, like yeah, it's breaching the rules, and yes, you need to deduct points, but it's not. I wouldn't call it cheating. It's you're trying to combat your instincts
Yeah.
at that point. So yeah, it's a tough one, but look, they did the right thing. They took a point. People were saying that they should have given Usman the position as well. So no,
No.
take a point or give him the position. You can't do both.
Yeah.
Like you just can't do that. That's because that's kind of ridiculous at
Yeah.
that point.
Just to
And
backtrack there, there was this video of an MMA fighter going in and fighting a Russian guy. And I think it was, yeah, an MMA fighter going into a boxing fight and fighting a fellow Russian guy. and his instincts kicked in. He took him down with boxing gloves and armbarred him, and the referee's like,
Nice. Uh,
disqualification. This is boxing.
and
But
he's
you
like,
know,
ah,
soccer kicks as well from the old school Valetudo guys.
mm,
You're
yeah,
fighting this urge to do the rules that you've been doing all along, and grabbing a fence, you're going to try and grab something when you're on the way down. That's natural, but you get your point taken away, and that's fine. I think every single low blow and every single eye poke should have an immediate, no warning. You get your warnings in the locker room, point deduction. That would stop all of it.
yeah, yeah. I think you're absolutely right.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But overall, brilliant performance from Leon Edwards. There again, it annoys me slightly when I still see a lot. Again, these aren't real people. They're like idiots on like these online forums and that. They're not real people, and I know that. But it's like,
Commenters.
yeah, but these guys, they're just like, well, he's not going to be champion for long. It's like, look, no one's champion forever. Do you know what I mean? Like, people, the amount of times I've seen people posting, "Oh, temporary champ." Everyone's a temporary champ. Every champion was temporary,
Yeah.
like literally. So look, he's just beaten the consensus pound for pound. He's just beat, sorry, not pound for pound, because that's a stupid thing
Best
anyway. It
best
doesn't even
welterweight.
exist. The best welterweight of this era, he's just beaten him twice, back to back. So what more do you want him to do at
Yeah.
that point? Like people saying, "Oh well, he'll never beat Colby Covington." It's like, I don't know. He just beat the guy that beat Colby Covington twice back to back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd like to see that fight. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
And there are some people saying that because obviously next up they're looking to do Colby Covington. Dana White was very clear about that. Leon's kind of pushed back on that a bit and said that what he wants to see how Burns and Masvidal does,
Yeah.
because it wasn't that he said that, because there are some people that are confusing what he said. There are some people that go, "Oh, he's saying that Colby doesn't deserve a title shot, but Masvidal does." It's like, no, that's not what he said. What he said was it would make more sense to do Masvidal because of the history there.
Yeah.
It would make more sense to do that because the story would sell more. It
Yeah.
would.
Three
Three pieces of
pieces and a
soda. Yeah,
soda.
exactly.
But let's
So
just backtrack for a second to the build up of the fight. Now I'm going to admit something to you, Burton. This is
mhm.
staying between you and me, right? This may go out on the podcast, but no, it will go out on the podcast because I don't care. The build up to the main event, they had this promo that they shot during the prelims, or sorry, they put out during the prelims, and they put out before the pay-per-view and during the pay-per-view for the build up for the main event. And it was the first fight, or the second fight between Leon Edwards and Usman. And it was the commentary, Joe Rogan, all the guys talking about he's really got to get out there round 5. He's accepted defeat, blah blah blah. And it's just like this sort like beautiful music, emotional, fucking rocky type of crescendo. And I found myself getting extremely emotional when he was getting the belt wrapped around him and he was being interviewed after he got the win, after the knockout. He's screaming into the camera, "Look at me now," you know?
Yeah,
And if you've ever had one of those moments, now I'm not saying for 1 second that I'm on the same level as these guys, but I have had moments where people have said I'm not good enough. And I did exactly what they said I couldn't do. And I just remember looking at them and just going, "Look at me fucking now." Like that moment, you know? Obviously way lower level, not professional, but just if you've ever had someone in your way saying you can't do something and you do it. And it's just that, yeah, we got to embrace all the positivity, but sometimes you just got to stick
yeah,
your two middle fingers up and say, "Fuck you," you know?
yeah,
Love that.
yeah. I don't think I've ever had that kind of moment. It's coming one day. I just don't. Because well, no one's ever been like, not to my face anyway. No one's ever said like, with my stand up and things like that. No one's ever said,
Yeah.
"No, you're fucking dreaming." Like you can't do it. No one's ever said it to my face anyway. I'm sure people like without me being present have said like, not my friends. My friends are all like, ultra supportive. My friends are all like, because to be fair, like my friends are all kind of very like real. Like they're just like, look, if you were shit, I'd have told you quite a long time ago, but you're not. So just keep going. which is nice. It's nice. It's,
Absolutely. Well, Bert, I think over the last number of months, maybe over the last year and a bit, we've developed quite a good little friendship back and forth.
I think so.
Allow me to tell you that you shouldn't do this. You can't do this. And then forecast in the future you telling me to fuck myself,
Fuck you. Yeah, so yeah, we could set up that beef.
Exactly, man. Ireland versus UK once again.
Oh,
The
yeah, Christ, did you see
1960
the
rising.
rugby? You're not a rugby fan, are you?
I'm
So,
not a rugby fan, but I heard that the guys in green won quite decisively.
well, they won. Well, you say that, but I mean, England were a man down from like 7, 8 minutes in,
And see anything.
and also
Is that an excuse?
that was never a sending off. Not in a minute. No, but I'm not being funny. But I think Ireland was still only like 1 point ahead. Like, and it was deep into the second half, and I was like, "How are they not further ahead than this? They're like England have been a man down for a long time. Like they should have been embarrassed. Aren't you embarrassed, Ireland?" No, I'm kidding.
I don't know.
But
I didn't see it, and I don't
it
care.
was not a sending off though. It was number one bullshit.
Was it number one? But send
Uh,
location. But
yeah.
getting back to the fights, though, man, what was most impressive with Leon is his patience and his kicks and his ability. You see, this is the thing. We actually in our gym back in Ireland, we actually had to fly in. I say we. I had nothing to do with that decision. The bosses flew in Mark Fury. Mark Fury is the Matt Hughes coach.
Oh, okay.
Irish and UK MMA at that time, 2010, had zero wrestling, and all the guys were just being wrestle fucked by these American guys. And when you see someone like Leon Edwards from Birmingham able to defend takedowns, get back up off his feet, that was so impressive to
Yeah.
us on this side of the water. It's like when Amanda Nunes fought Ronda Rousey. Everyone says how impressive her boxing was. As a coach, I look at her boxing and I see her footwork. She stayed out of Ronda's range so Ronda couldn't take her down. Her footwork was the most impressive part of that fight. Leon Edwards was so patient. His wrestling, his defense, and his ability to stand back up won him that fight.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's up there now with the greats, the UK greats like Conor McGregor. I'm very happy for him.
I mean, McGregor's Irish. He's not from the UK, is he?
Shit. I was hoping to pass him off to you.
Yeah, no, because I can't remember. So like, cause, yeah, they did come up one time before. And I was like, hang on a second, he's Irish? Is that Northern Ireland? Because I don't know like that well. I don't really care. I was like, hang on, wait, no, is it Northern Ireland part of the UK or Ireland? I
No,
had to double
he's
check. I was
double.
like, no, you can get screwed.
That's
It's,
it.
yeah, one thing
But
in the build-up that I did find interesting with Kamaru Usman was just how much I found myself just not liking him. Found him like really just since the loss, like the first loss, I found Kamaru Usman insufferable,
right.
just weird, saying weird
Yeah.
things, like
The pre-fight press
whispering a lot,
conference was annoying.
like,
It really was.
just like, oh, don't let him bully you, Rocky. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you take it. Well, what you do, is that what you got, really? Like, come on. And it's just, I don't like this whole, like again with the Rogan thing. He was just like, hey, look, yeah, I'm fine. 20 minutes later, I was fine. I was fine. They didn't hurt. I wasn't in any pain. I could fight again tomorrow. Although the doctors have bought me some sparring for 6 months, but I could fight tomorrow, Joe. I'm fine, Joe. It's like, who are you trying to
Yeah.
convince, Kamaru?
Yeah.
Joe or
When
you?
you get knocked out, you don't feel any pain. Have you
Yeah,
ever been knocked out?
I have actually. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
don't feel any pain.
yeah.
The ground comes up to
No.
meet your face, and that's all that happens. But yeah, so what's next? I'm going to ask you two more questions and we get the fuck
Mm-hmm.
out of here. What's next for Kamara Usman? How does he bounce back from this?
Dricus Du Plessis in Africa,
Wow. That's a
middleweight,
solid fight. Middleweight though. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
middleweight.
He'll go up.
Yeah, he'll go up. Dricus Du Plessis, they'll settle it once and for all. Who is the most African?
Solid accent. I love it.
Because like literally, that was the other thing. I was just like, that was a weird thing. Because right, it's not a competition of who is the most African.
Yeah.
But if it was, let's be fair, Kamaru hasn't lived in Africa for 25 years. Dreykus was born in South Africa, lives in South Africa, trains in South Africa, and all he said really was that like he was making the same point. Leon Edwards made the same point. But like Bisping just didn't throw his toys out of the pram about it. He just like Bisping was like, yeah, in a way he has got a point. I'm still the first English champion, but what he's saying does hold merit. He's the first one who really took the belt home because he still lives and trains in Birmingham. He took the
Yeah.
belt home. When I won the belt, I lived in California. So I do understand that point of view. And it's the same with Dreykus. He's just saying that when he takes the belt, because in his mind it's a formality, he's going for that belt, which is fair enough. I love the confidence. I'm a big fan of Dreykus. I really am. But he was just saying, look, I lived in South Africa. I'm born in South Africa. I train in South Africa. I'm taking the belt home. I'll be the first man to take it home to South Africa. And Usman comes out. It's just like, well, just because my parents go over to China and then I'm born in China and then I live in China, that doesn't make me Chinese. It's like, I actually, Kamaru, it
Yeah, it
does.
does.
Don't.
Yeah.
And again, look, it's not a competition of who's the most African. But if it was a competition, I think Dreykus is probably more African.
Yeah, you got to
You know
make
what I
that
mean? So,
argument. But
because it'd be
then
the
then but
same.
then we bring race into it, and then it's about race, and
Yeah.
that's just what we watch MMA to transcend race, because
Mm.
everything in the news, everything on social media, it's all about race now, right? Let's not bring race in. Keep racism out of
I
UFC.
skirted around that very skillfully, I thought. I didn't bring
Yes, you
it into
did.
it once. So,
Ironically, I
yeah.
brought it into it, saying that we shouldn't
Yeah.
bring it into it.
God damn it.
And what's next for Leon Edwards? Can I give my opinion first?
You certainly can.
He's suggesting that Colby Covington is not going to get it because he's got the say as the champion. And he says it's going to probably be the winner of Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. My prediction is he's the champion. Yes. Dana White and Hunter Campbell and Sean Shelby, they make the decisions. Here's your contract. Sign it or see you later. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards for the next title over the summer.
Hmm. I think, yeah, final say. Like, the thing is, the champions do get a little bit of leeway on who they fight. It has to be within reason. The fight still has to make sense. It's the same reason they let Michael Bisping run it back with Dan Henderson. When Dan Henderson had no business being in a title fight at that point in his career, he just had no business being there. Really, looking at where he was in the rankings at the time, with the greatest of respect, legend or not, he shouldn't have been in a title fight.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't the number one contender. I don't think he was even top 5 at the time. But the fight still needs to make sense. That's why it really depends. If Masvidal wins, then I think that Masvidal will get the next title shot against Leon Edwards, because I think that the UFC are about making money. They're about money fights. They want the story, and people don't like sport. People like stories. That's why people don't go to watch friendlies. There's no narrative there. There's no stakes. There has to be stakes. There has to be a story. There has to be a narrative. And the narrative between Leon and Masvidal is more compelling than the one between Leon and Colby. But it's contingent on Masvidal beating Burns, and that is a tall order.
I agree. That could be. I mean, I don't agree. I just said I agree, which is the opposite to the point that I made. I agree that that's a very strong possibility too. The issue that I would like, the caveat, I guess, is we don't know what contractual agreements UFC have with Colby Covington as he cut weight and decided to be the backup fighter this weekend in London.
Now, the only contract they would have had with Colby Covington would have been whatever they paid him. They wouldn't have. There are no promises made for next title fights and whatever else. It's like, I mean, at least Colby Covington made weight. Do you know what I mean? Do you see
Yeah.
old Anthony Smith, bless him? Like, the amount of shade he's thrown at people. Like, and the thing is, fair enough, he owned it. I like Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
really do. I'm not like talking shit on him or anything, but it was funny. I watched him on the podcast like the next week, and I was like, let's see what he's got to say for himself, because I know that Bisping's going to roast him a little bit, and he
Yeah.
did a little bit, to be fair. And Smith owned it. He was like, look, yeah, I didn't make the weight.
I fucked up.
That was because I fucked up. Yeah, I did. And people have said, well, are you going to stop giving people shit for not making weight? It's like, no, because you need to make weight. It's still
Yeah.
something you need to do. So I will still pull people up on it. and I expect people to pull me up on this. So go ahead, look, get your shots in now, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't make the weight. I didn't take it seriously enough because I'm making weight to be a backup. I didn't take it seriously enough, and I admit that, and that's it. You know, it's I just think that was funny. The backup doesn't make weight.
Here's a question: how much money do you reckon those backup guys get? All you got to do is show up and make weight. Is it 50,000?
I'll tell you what. That I don't know. I'll tell you what I know for certain, and that is they did not make the amount that Colby Covington says that he made. He says he made like he says he made like $2 million. And I'm just like, that's ridiculous.
Shut up.
That's ridiculous. What are you talking about? Although I don't think he actually said that. I think he was kidding. I think all context was taken out of what he was saying. Like, I think he was make a couple of $1 million just for showing up and making weight. No, I think that someone literally like clipped that and just took the words and put it up on a picture, and then I don't think he actually said that. I don't think it, so. Maybe. Yeah, but
be nice.
I think it would depend greatly on their contracts. I'd say they probably negotiate a portion of their contract. They probably say that, you know, you got to make weight. You got to be ready to fight. If you fight, we'll give you this much, but just for making weight, we'll give you half that.
Yeah, solid. Maybe it's a good incentive, you know, and at least it keeps the fans, like, so many fights are dropping off, you know, whether it's injury or USADA or, you know, John Jones. Like, who's to say the next time he goes to Vegas that some hotel doesn't get destroyed again because he's a fucking moron? But at least you have, if one drops off, one's there. And that should have been the way going forward. I just hope that these guys get fucking paid. And I wish it was disclosed.
Oh, they do. And I'll tell you what, if what I think happens, because my little theory, before we go, on what's next for like in the John Jones saga.
Shit, this is an episode in and of itself.
So I'll make it brief, but I'm calling it that if John Jones gets through Stipe, and I think that there's a good chance that he does, I think that the next fight we see in the heavyweight division for the title after that, they'll do something with an interim at some point, like just to keep things fresh and exciting. But then you're 10 events away from UFC 300. I think that they will book John Jones defending his belt against Brock Lesnar.
I was going to say,
I think that happens.
Wow, what a prediction!
I guarantee calls have already been made.
Really? Yeah.
I guarantee calls have already been made. They don't. The UFC aren't idiots. That fight would break every pay-per-view record there is.
I'd purchase that.
Could you imagine that? Yeah. Could you imagine?
Really?
I'd love it.
I'd watch.
They would need 3 backups though.
For real. My goodness. Bert, thank you very much again for joining me on the DT podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to speak fights with you. I can't say enough kind words that would make sense. But yeah, you like, I get energy. I'm exhausted on a Monday night, but I get energy preparing for what we're going to talk about. So, dude, it is a pleasure to speak with you. Tell people where you are and what you're about.
Oh, pleasure to be here as well, as always. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I am on YouTube, The Burt Locker on YouTube. It's now the _1 thing. When you type in The Burt Locker, it's the first result. You don't have to go through 7 pages of the Hurt Locker videos, which is pretty nice. The _Burt_ Green on Instagram, Burt Green on Twitter. If you type in Burt Green, you'll see my little green logo about the place. You'll find, you're not idiots. I'm not going to treat you like you're idiots. You know what I mean? You'll be fine. Also, do me a favor, just hit subscribe to this podcast, because I watch this podcast, the old DT podcast. Hit that button, hit subscribe. That's what you need to do. Costs nothing. Don't think, just subscribe.
And you can do it like right now as you're watching it on your phone. Who watches this shit in your laptop? You got your phone in your hand. Yeah, go down, subscribe. That's it. Boop, done. And then above that, like, right? And then just below that, comment. You guys are fucking amazing.
Easy work.
Done. Yeah. Easy. Bert, thank you very much, my friend. I wish you a pleasant evening.
You too, my friend. Take care.
Rockin'.
Next time.